Greetings everybody, this is Red on VFR, and today I am showing or showcasing the 1985 Honda Shadow 1100. It's not a Spirit, it's not Ace, it's just a Shadow. This is one of the very original ones. This is when Honda was building the Shadow that was actually very powerful. I believe the horsepower is around 78, 79. It's probably the most powerful Honda Shadow ever built, and then the horsepower later on, or in later models, went down to about 67, something like that. But that was the original Harley killer. What do I mean by this? It was one of the bikes that the government, the United States government, was protecting Harley Davidson from. Because when those things came out and got important in the United States, Harley was pretty much no match for this bike. It was a lot more powerful, comfortable, a lot better reliability. You know, you can't compare reliability. This particular bike is in immaculate shape, has just over 42,000 miles. As you can tell, the paint matches. Usually, well, sometimes you can get the side covers that are different from the tank because they were swapped, because people were trying to more or less get the parts that were available, whatever is available at the moment. This bike is completely original, one owner. Chrome is in immaculate condition, paint is in immaculate condition. The only little thing there is the seat is splitting a bit. Not a big deal. Can be reupholstered or fixed, you know, maybe the seat cover. Actually, I didn't know there was a kind of split. It's not a banana seat, it's a two-piece seat. So I would be probably looking at the some sort of backrest for the rider. So as far as on the back, you see that taillight, it's sitting on the fender. So basically, you know, it's an older style, and then later on the tail light was kind of under the fender, which was, in my opinion, better design. And then in 2000s, that became like a part of fender again. That tail light used to be called lunchbox, because it does look like a lunchbox, to be honest. Alright, on the back, what we got? We got a Dunlop tire. It's not an original tire, obviously, but it's very old. I believe it's from 2008. Looks not bad. I mean, there are cracks, but it's not perished yet. But still, it's not very safe to ride the damn thing. So the back tire is 115/90/15, just in case if you need it. This one is a Dunlop qualifier. Pretty cool tire. Somewhat difficult to find where we live. I will have to check the back brake, because apparently it might be actually, or it may not be. Who knows? Might be actually going small or going slim. Big turn signals. Very Honda-like. The backrest for the passenger. This little compartment is actually a compartment, and I believe it's a toolbox. And it's like a Shadow double-headed eagle or something like that, like a gold wing theme going on. Very, very good-looking thing. So this was more or less the original Honda Motorsport logo. It's like a triple color wing instead of a single color wing. On the tank you have the temp gauge and the fuel gauge. Both work just great. This is where you put your gasoline. You will have to just move that out of the way. The key goes in there, twist it, and there is an opening. On the right hand side, I believe there is a battery hidden in there. Very strange looking battery, to be honest. It's not your rectangular battery. I believe believe this is the displacement, 1099 cubic centimeters. Look how many details this bike has. It's unbelievable. So it's a water cooled or liquid cooled, so it has the radiator, very similar to Shadow 750, the one that my brother has. So I was kind of comparing and contrasting. In the front we got fairly small brakes, to be honest, but there's two of them, unlike on the CB. It's not even that heavy of a bike. I think it's, what is it, 580 pounds, something like that. I believe those are single piston calipers. And let's see here. By the looks of it, it is. It's difficult to see. So in the front it has the Dunlop qualifier. That was a different set, meaning the back was from 2008, the front is 2015, I believe. Still old, but it has plenty of tread. It's not ideal. I already bought the replacement tires, not as fancy as those. The front tire is 110/90/18, made in Japan. Yeah, usually Dunlops, well actually probably always Dunlops are made in Japan. In front, single headlight, Stanley. Don't remember whether it's H4 or something else. Horn works. You got a pair of turn signals and little things for deer thing. I don't know if they work. The Kawasaki Voyager has that too. I will disconnect them, throw them away, because this bike deserves to be original. The brake lines look to be absolutely fine. The paint is in immaculate condition. I just see myself in the reflection all the time. On the left hand side, same theme going on. There's a lot of details happening. Very clean bike, extremely clean bike, to be honest. Shadow 1100, probably regulator rectifier on the left hand side. Something that VFR 750 had problems with. It's a beautiful thing. Very, very cushiony seats. What's interesting is that little panel that informs you about the state of the bike, you know, the oil, taillights, high beam, neutral, overdrive. It's a bit faded. So I can't find the same panel anywhere else. Maybe on eBay I'll try to look harder. Has 42,357 miles. I rode 69 miles. Has a tachometer. It's pretty cool. This bike doesn't like to ride lower than 2,000 RPM. Alright, on the right hand side we got a brake cylinder or a master cylinder. It's original. Chrome cover. Little window here tells the level, but it's kind of yellowed out a bit. Kind of old looking. On the left hand side, the clutch master cylinder, same theme going on. Chrome mirrors too. Very, very large handles, so I was gonna change the whole master cylinder for the clutch or for the brake, but because of those massive kind of handles or levers, I just don't want to touch it. I leave it as is, but I will have to go and change the brake fluid on this, because there's not much brake for the front. So the gauge is somewhere over here. So there's a massive travel. I'm guessing there's air or something like that, but I will bleed it myself to make sure that it's working fine. The clutch need to be topped up. It doesn't even say the level at all. and it will need to be rotated, because when I'm sitting down, those handlebars make you sit upright, and they're very, very close to you, so you're like in a dog position, which is, I mean, for the long rides it's not ideal. I would rather have my arms to be stretched out. Those grips too, if you know my videos, I hate those grips, but on this bike I don't mind it. They're probably anti-vibration grips. They're not very cushiony and not very pleasant, but they work. They work. On the right hand side you got your kill switch, start button, and that's about it. On the left hand side, normal controls, horn, turn signal switch, and a switch for the high and low beam. The choke is here. This bike is in fact carbureted because it's an old Honda. Very, very tall mirrors, and they look to be original, in great shape. I don't see that it caught a bunch of bugs or rock chips at all. Yeah, this bike is something else. I already rode it, as I said, 69 miles. It's beautiful, beautiful machine. It's one of them bikes that it's not quite a cruiser yet, but it's something. Remember that CM400 that I fixed? That is a standard chassis. So it's not a cruiser, not a sports bike, not a touring bike. It used to be called standard. This bike is in between the standard and cruiser, so it's not quite stretched out as modern Honda Shadows, but it's not a standard anymore. Absolutely love those 5-spoke rims on the back and in the front. Those are ridiculously beautiful. It kind of reminds me of a Magna, the 700 or the 750, the second gen, and I would love to have it, but I got the Shadow now, and Magna is a tiny bit more powerful. Obviously different engine configurations. The Shadow is a V-twin and the Magna is a V4. Both have interesting sounds, very distinguishable sounds. The V4 sounds like a VFR, the V-twin sounds like any V-twin basically, but I told my brother that the 1100 sounds like just like his 750. There's similarities to it. It is a shaft driven, this is what I didn't say. So you don't really need to maintain it. It's not that you don't have to maintain it, you don't have to adjust it. This is the proper definition. Because some people say, well, if it has a drive shaft, you don't have to maintain it. It's not correct. You have to maintain it anyway. You have to change the hypoid oil, because it's a hypoid gear inside, and it says use hypoid gear oil SAE 80, so exactly the same that I used on the Magna. And get some information about the tire pressures. So I think it runs 32 when not loaded with the passenger. Why is my camera not focusing whatsoever? I have no idea what's happening with my camera. I had to pause the video for a second here, but it's not focusing. Let me do this. The zoom camera didn't work. So when it's zoomed in or zoomed out, it doesn't really want to focus. I just put it on zoom 1 and it focuses absolutely great. So 32 for normal state. When you have a passenger, you got 32 in the front, 40 in the back. You got your center stand. You know, Hondas always have center stands. Well, not only Hondas, but back in the day, every single bike, almost every single bike had a center stand. Other than that, that beauty belongs to me. It's not like a showcase of someone else's bike. It is mine. And the next video will be me riding it. we'll talk about that more. But thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Take care and goodbye. By the way, if you managed to watch through the whole video, I remember the owner said that he had difficulty starting this bike every morning. Well, let's try it out, because I had no issues whatsoever the last time I did it. So choke all the way, make sure it's in neutral. Maybe let me get on it. Actually, let me roll the bike a bit. Alright, fire in a hole. Starts right up. I'm assuming he didn't apply choke enough because it goes kind of deep enough. So you have to extend it all the way so that you have more gas